and to give thanks. So we never forget what he's done in our midst. And we're wrapping up here this spring and early summer our NLTE, Nothing Less Than Extraordinary campaign for Phase 2. And even though we only completed half of it, we're using that half well, but we stayed true to the full commitment to the NLT pledges to go into Malawi and help them with space. And we're going to give an update and celebrate what God has done. In fact, I've invited Mike Ayers to give that update today. He was my traveling companion this past month when we were in Africa. So we had quite an experience together. But before he speaks, I got to tell you this one moment, highlight for me, good humor. I told you a few weeks ago that we went into the slums of Nairobi. And it was probably the hardest, most difficult day for me in many ways. But as we were gathered together in this little church in the slums of Nairobi, there were about 50 people or so present, and the gentleman who was emceeing got up and was about to introduce the senior pastor of Westwood to come and give a little message to the church. But he didn't realize that I was the senior pastor. He thought it was Mike Ayers, who's a businessman, and he's proud of the fact that he's a businessman, so he invites Pastor Mike Ayers to come up and give the message. And Mike looks at me and I go ahead. It was just the best moment. He had about 3 seconds to prepare and he went up and delivered a fabulous message. It was just outstanding. So I know he'll do well today. But would you just welcome Pastor Mike?
It was kind of fun to impersonate a pastor, to tell you the truth. This is Sanders Masiska, the director of World Relief Malawi. He told us a few weeks ago, and I quote, "Most people come to Malawi and comment on how poor people are and how little people have. But Westwood comes, sees opportunity, what can be done, and does something about it." The Westwood model for mission work is to partner with our God-given resources to the gifts and the resources of the people we serve, to transform their lives, and to be sure we do that in a way that is sustainable. It's been a privilege and a joy to represent you in my 4 trips to Malawi in the past 3 years on this project. To see firsthand the changes in the lives that together we have made and that we believe will last for generations is amazing. While we fly from Chanhassen to Malawi, let's dig right in. In the next few minutes, we'll do a quick review of the history of the project. We'll look at what has been built. Most importantly, we'll hear from those whose lives have been so positively impacted, and we'll get a teaser on where we're headed. Late in 2007, MSADA, a Christian not-for-profit developer, suggested a proposal to Westwood's board to consider a developing world building campaign component to your upcoming capital work. That proposal was warmly received, and the board sent a team, led by MSADA, to do a needs assessment, partnered along with Westwood's longtime partner in the region, World Relief. 3 Malawians, who you may remember from previous updates, really made a lasting impression on the team. Sandris, the eloquent and passionate leader of World Relief, was first. He told the team of his country's needs, how his group's programs were helping the most vulnerable of Malawians, and the types of facilities that would help deliver his great services. The second person of impact was Fatima, the lead school teacher in the village of Chitipa. You may remember her passion for her students and her fearless request for help. She held up her hand, and each finger was a very important request. Schoolrooms, a library, desks, electricity, and an office. We had to run when her second hand came up for fear of blowing the whole budget. The third Malawian who moved us was Omi, the teacher, mother, and grandmother who literally came out of the bush in the village of Namatumi, our first village center. There is no doubt in the team's mind that she was sent by God because there was no notice of our visit. Omi's passion for her children, her commitment to make all the bricks, and perhaps most importantly, her pinning us down to fulfill our end of the bargain were very memorable. You all gave very generously to the Malawi part of the Nothing Less Than Extraordinary campaign. Westwood's commitment was for $500,000, and your board committed the dollars up front. First fruits to your brothers and sisters in Chitipa. MSADA did these 12 designs, and you have already turned 10 of those into reality, with the final 2 now under construction. While While the buildings are very important to our friends in Chitipa, just like this building, what really matters is what goes on inside, how people grow closer to God by loving and learning inside these walls. From 6,000 miles away, it may seem complicated or overwhelming to help people improve their lives, but when you're there, it becomes very clear. It's the basics that we all take for granted. Knowing to wash your hands before cooking, knowing what to do when your child has a fever, how to avoid getting or passing on HIV/AIDS, crop rotation, basic food groups for diets, how to document your property ownership, and how to document your family's history. World Relief is great at teaching the Malawians how to do all those things and much more. You can see the changes in the kids already, from runny noses, bloated bellies, emaciated skin, to healthy, happy kids, just like ours. Let's hear from Sandras, Fatima, and Omi about the impact these buildings have already made.
That now we have our own office in Lilongwe. It has just increased our morale, it has boosted the morale of staff. And now we have our own home where we can plan and strategize our work and without worrying about office rent getting higher than what we could afford, without worrying about whether we will still remain in the same building by next year. This time we are quite happy to have our own place.
I feel very, very grateful because the pupils now are learning in a conducive place, and that has made them to perform well in class. So that's very wonderful. I am extending the gratitude to them that what they have done is so wonderful. May God bless them.
Recently, ministers and wives retreat was conducted here from Chitipa Presbytery. About 10 congregations, 10 ministers and their wives were here. They were attending their seminar in this hall. They were using it as a seminar room as well as a dining room. So it has eased us a lot. And the weddings, they are being conducted here. Meetings, for example, youth meetings, women's guild meetings, men's guild meetings, we do conduct them in this hall. So it has really helped us as a church.
In the coming months, you will hear more from your Malawi team about exciting new opportunities to get involved and a great new internship for 20-somethings. We're going to build trade with our friends in Chitipa as well. For 50 years, we have been giving Africans fish. We've taught a few how to fish, but we've taught no one how to catch a fish, put it in a can, put a label on it, and sell it to someone. You can replace the fish analogy with pyrethrum, chickens, and other ideas that we'll talk about in the coming months. Partnership is sometimes an overused term, but not when it comes to Westwood's work in Malawi. You have taken the resources that God has provided in one hand and passed them on to Msada. Msada took those resources, added their value, and passed them on to suppliers of steel and cement and skilled labor in Malawi. They took those resources and passed them on to the land and the bricks that the villagers made, who set up the facilities for World Relief to make the lives of the 175,000 people in Chitipa much better. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. It's kingdom building for God. Please say an occasional prayer for our brothers and sisters in Malawi. They pray for us all the time.